Brooklyn never really slept. Even after midnight, the hum of traffic and faint jazz leaking from underground bars gave the streets a pulse of their own. Emily Hayes often loved walking home after her late college classes, headphones in, city lights flickering like stars that had fallen to the pavement. She was 21, fresh with the kind of dreams that still believed in forever. That night, she dropped her books on the wet sidewalk when her phone buzzed. A stranger bent down immediately, gathering them before the rain could stain the pages. "Careful," he said with a grin. "The city eats the careless alive." That stranger was Ryan Carter. Perfect smile, expensive jacket, confidence radiating from his voice. He wasn't just polite, he was magnetic, like gravity pulling her closer without permission. That was how it began. A simple accident, a smile exchanged under streetlights, and a spark that grew too bright to ignore. Within weeks, Ryan became everything. He texted her before class, "Good luck, love. You're brilliant." He left flowers at her dorm, never asking for recognition. He seemed to know her rhythms, her fears, her hopes sometimes better than she did herself. Emily had dated before, but nothing compared to this overwhelming certainty. With Ryan, she felt chosen, protected, seen. But shadows live even in the brightest rooms. Ryan's attentiveness was more than devotion. It was surveillance disguised as love. He asked where she went, who she met, and if she forgot to answer, he appeared somehow always nearby. He told her it was because he worried for her safety, and she believed him. After all, hadn't he been there since day one, rescuing her books from the rain? Then came the vitamins. They were small capsules, clear bottles with neat white labels, for energy. Ryan explained one evening as they studied together. "You've been exhausted lately. Trust me, these will help." Emily hesitated, but only for a second. Why wouldn't she trust him? Ryan was her anchor in a city that never slowed down. She swallowed the first pill with her coffee, smiling at how proud he looked. The changes were subtle at first. A restless energy in her veins, a longing that tightened her chest when Ryan wasn't around. Nights felt longer, emptier. Even in crowded rooms, she searched for him like air. And when they were together, the world blurred until nothing existed but his touch, his voice, his presence. Emily thought it was love the kind poets wrote about, fierce and consuming. She didn't realize that love shouldn't feel like hunger, or that her new dependence was carefully designed. Ryan would watch her with quiet satisfaction as she leaned closer, as her hands shook when he left, as she whispered, "I don't know what's happening to me." He'd simply smile and answer, "It just means you need me. Only me." Emily laughed, trying to believe it was sweet. But somewhere, deep inside, a whisper of doubt began to stir. She ignored it, not knowing that the first thread of her freedom had already been severed. Emily's friends noticed the changes before she did. At first, it was little things. She canceled brunch with Chloe, skipped study sessions with Marcus, and always had a reason Ryan needed her. Ryan wasn't feeling well. Ryan wanted to take her somewhere special. They teased her for being love-drunk, but beneath their laughter, concern lingered. You used to live for your independence," Chloe whispered one night after class. "Now you don't even breathe without asking Ryan if it's okay." Emily forced a smile, brushing it off. "It's not like that. He just cares more than anyone ever has." She meant it too. Ryan's intensity scared her sometimes, but wasn't that proof of real love? The pills became routine. Morning coffee, afternoon snack, late night tea. Ryan always had one ready. He never let her run out. Whenever she asked what they were, he gave the same answer. "Just supplements. Natural. Trust me." His voice was soft but firm, like a father soothing a child. She never pushed further. Soon, Emily realized she couldn't get through a day without them. When she forgot a dose, her body screamed for Ryan, aching, restless, desperate. The emptiness was unbearable. Like her skin was too tight, her mind too loud. She'd text him frantically, heart pounding until he appeared, slipping a pill into her hand with that same reassuring smile. "You're fine now," he'd say, kissing her forehead. "See? I told you I'd always take care of you." What terrified Emily was how right he was. The moment the capsule dissolved in her stomach, the world steadied, her body quieted, and then came the rush, the uncontrollable need to hold him, kiss him, feel him near. It wasn't just attraction anymore. It was survival. Her grades slipped. Professors emailed her about missed deadlines. Her sketchbook, once filled with half-finished drawings and dreams of becoming a designer, lay untouched. Her world had narrowed to a single point: Ryan. One evening, Chloe showed up at Emily's dorm unannounced. "You look pale. You've lost weight. Something's wrong." Emily tried to argue, but her throat tightened, words collapsing into a nervous laugh. Ryan arrived minutes later, wrapping his arm around her shoulders like armor. His eyes cut through Chloe, sharp and warning. "She's fine," he said smoothly. "She doesn't need everyone poking into her business." Chloe's jaw clenched, but she didn't push further. She left with a tight hug, whispering in Emily's ear, "If you ever feel trapped, call me." That night, Ryan caressed Emily's face as she cried quietly into his chest. He whispered promises, drowning her doubts with affection. "They don't understand us. They'll never understand what we have. You're mine, Emily, mine." And though her heart trembled with unease, she nodded, because the truth was undeniable. Without Ryan, she felt like nothing. The chains had tightened so gently, so subtly that Emily didn't realize she was already caged. Autumn crept into New York with its golden leaves and sharp winds, but Emily barely noticed a change of season. Her world had shrunk so small that the city felt distant, muted, as if only Ryan's presence gave color to her days. Her professors pulled her aside. "Emily, this isn't you. Your attendance is spotty. Your projects are incomplete. Are you all right?" She nodded, insisting she was fine, but shame burned her throat. She wasn't. She couldn't focus. Her mind wandered constantly back to Ryan, where he was, what he was doing, why he hadn't texted in the last 20 minutes. Her body was betraying her. Without the capsules Ryan provided, her hands shook, sweat pooled at her neck, and every nerve screamed for him. She told herself it was love. Love was supposed to consume you, wasn't it? Maybe this was how forever felt. But small cracks began to show. One night, as she lay against Ryan's chest, she asked softly, "What's in the pills you give me?" He tensed, just for a second, but enough. Then he smiled, stroking her hair. "You worry too much, baby. Just herbs, natural energy boosters. You're healthier with them. Can't you feel it?" Emily wanted to believe him. She did believe him, at least until she opened his bathroom cabinet. While he showered, behind expensive colognes and skincare bottles, she found several identical containers, each unlabeled, tucked into a black case. Her stomach knotted. When Ryan emerged, steam trailing behind him, she quickly shut the cabinet. He kissed her forehead, but his eyes lingered on her face longer than usual, searching, measuring. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. For the first time, the thought entered her mind: what if this isn't love? What if this is something else, something I can't escape? The next day, Chloe called again. Emily ignored it. Guilt clawed at her, but Ryan's voice echoed louder. "They'll never understand us." At dinner, Ryan leaned across the table, his tone casual but eyes sharp. "Why don't you talk to Chloe anymore?" I've just been busy," Emily stammered. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Good. She doesn't see the real you. Only I do. Remember that." Her heart hammered. A part of her wanted to scream, to ask why he controlled every corner of her life. But when his hand touched hers, warmth spread through her chest, dissolving the doubt. That familiar need drowned her anger. Later that night, lying awake in his arms, Emily stared at the ceiling, realizing she no longer recognized herself. She used to be fierce, independent, creative. Now, she was hollow. And yet, when Ryan kissed her temple and whispered, "You're perfect this way," a tear slid down her cheek, not because she believed him, but because she feared he was right. The mirror reflected a stranger, and Emily wasn't sure if the old version of herself even existed anymore. Winter arrived early that year, and with it came a chill that Emily could not escape. Even when Ryan's arms were around her, she used to love the cold, bundling herself in scarves and laughing as her breath fogged in the frosty air. Now she barely noticed the season. Her body felt hot, restless, desperate. Nights without Ryan were torture, her skin prickling like fire beneath the surface. She stopped going home for weekends. Her parents left voicemail after voicemail. "Sweetheart, We miss you. Please call us. Emily pressed delete each time. Ryan convinced her that they didn't understand. That family had a way of pulling people backward. You're better without their constant judgment, he whispered. And she believed him, because the alternative being away from him was unbearable. Her friends grew silent, distant. One by one, they stopped calling. Chloe was the last to give up, her texts dwindling into nothing but unanswered messages. I'm here if you need me. Please talk to me. Emily read them through blurry eyes, then shoved her phone under the pillow. The pills consumed her. She didn't ask for them anymore. Ryan offered them without a word, slipping one into her palm before a class, before bed, before they kissed. When she once suggested maybe she should stop, he laughed softly, brushing his thumb against her lips. Stop and go back to the old you? No, Emily. That girl was broken. You're perfect now. Don't ruin it. The words clung to her like frostbite. She wanted to argue, to insist she wasn't broken before him, but her body betrayed her. The moment she skipped a capsule, panic struck her chest tight, her hands clawing for him as though oxygen only existed in his presence. One night, she collapsed on his apartment floor, trembling, sweat pooling at her neck. Ryan knelt beside her, calm as always. He placed a pill on her tongue, lifted her chin to drink water, and watched her swallow. Relief washed over her in seconds, the fire cooling, her breath steadying. See? He murmured, pulling her into his arms. You don't survive without me, and that's not weakness. Emily, it's love. But in her heart, a scream echoed. Love wasn't supposed to look like this. Love wasn't supposed to make you less of yourself. Wasn't supposed to erase your world until only one person remained. Lying awake beside him, she imagined running, packing her bags, calling Chloe, leaving the city. The vision was so clear it almost felt real. But when Ryan stirred in his sleep and pulled her closer, the thought vanished, replaced by the burning need for his touch. The storm raged inside her, but her chains were invisible, woven tighter with every whispered word, every pill, every kiss. Emily was drowning, and she didn't even know how to call for help anymore. Snow blanketed the city in silence, but Emily's world was anything but quiet. Inside Ryan's apartment, she paced the floor barefoot, her chest aching, her skin tingling with a desperate hunger she couldn't name anymore. She had taken her pill hours ago, but it wasn't enough. Nothing ever felt like enough now. Ryan sat on the couch, watching her like a scientist studying his subject. Calm, steady, almost entertained. You're restless again, he said softly. Emily whirled toward him, eyes glassy, voice shaking. What's happening to me, Ryan? Why do I feel like this all the time? I can't think. I can't breathe unless you're here. He smiled, rising slowly, each step deliberate until he stood inches from her. His hand cupped her jaw, forcing her to meet his gaze. Because I'm the only thing that matters. That's what love is, Emily. Everything else, your school, your friends, your family, it was all noise. I silenced it for you. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She wanted to scream that this wasn't love, that something inside her was breaking, but the words never made it out. Her body craved him even as her mind begged for release. The next morning, she woke to find Ryan gone. Panic clawed through her chest. She searched the apartment, called his phone, left desperate voicemails. Hours stretched like years until the door finally opened. He carried a bag of groceries, smiling as if nothing had happened. You left me, she whispered, voice cracking. I just went out for food, he said, kissing her forehead, but his eyes lit up with triumph. He had seen what happened when he disappeared, how quickly she unraveled, how much she needed him. That night, she begged him not to leave again. Her voice shook with desperation she couldn't control. Please, Ryan, promise me, don't ever go without telling me. I can't survive it. He pulled her close, whispering, I'll never leave you. You're mine forever. But in the quiet hours, when Ryan finally slept, Emily sat by the window, staring at the snow falling under the streetlights. Her reflection in the glass looked hollow, gaunt, her eyes bruised from endless nights of dependence. For the first time, she admitted the truth to herself. She was no longer Emily Hayes, the girl who dreamed of designing clothes, who laughed too loudly at brunch, who believed in forever. That girl was gone. What remained was a shadow, Ryan's creation, bound by invisible chains and poisoned by a love that felt more like a prison. And deep inside, beneath the haze of longing and chemicals, a fragile spark flickered, the will to escape. Whether it would be strong enough, she didn't know. The new semester began without Emily. Her professors had dropped her from their rosters, her projects left incomplete, her future quietly erased. Ryan told her it didn't matter. College is a waste of time. You have me. That's all you'll ever need. But somewhere inside, Emily felt a whisper of defiance. She remembered Chloe's last words, the unanswered texts, the life she once had before Ryan's world swallowed her whole. Late at night, when Ryan slept, she opened her phone with trembling hands, scrolling through Chloe's messages. "If you ever feel trapped, call me." Her thumb hovered over the dial button, heart racing. For a moment, hope pierced the haze, sharp, painful, but real. Then Ryan stirred beside her, his arm tightened around her waist, his lips brushing her ear. "What are you doing?" Emily froze. He hadn't opened his eyes, but his grip told her he knew. Slowly, she set the phone down. Her breath came shallow, her pulse wild. Over the next days, Ryan's control grew harsher. He insisted on keeping her phone, deleting contacts, locking her inside when he left. The pills multiplied. She swallowed them without question, too weak to resist. Her reflection was almost unrecognizable now, sunken cheeks, dark circles, eyes that no longer sparkled but flickered like dying embers. One evening, a storm raged outside, thunder rattling the windows. Emily stood in the living room, staring at the door. Every nerve screamed to run. She imagined herself pushing it open, racing barefoot into the snow, dialing Chloe's number, collapsing into her arms. Freedom was just a few steps away. Her hand touched a doorknob. Behind her, Ryan's voice cut through the thunder. "Where are you going, Emily?" She turned, tears streaming, body trembling. I don't know who I am anymore." He walked toward her slowly, eyes cold, smile razor sharp. "You're mine. That's all you need to know." Her knees buckled. The fight drained from her as quickly as it had sparked. Ryan guided her back to the couch, pressing a pill into her palm. Her fingers closed around it automatically, her body betraying her once more. As the capsule slid down her throat, Emily felt the last thread of resistance snap. The storm outside roared, but inside, silence claimed her. She leaned against Ryan's chest, eyes glazed, heartbeat steadying as the fire returned to her veins. Somewhere deep inside, a voice screamed, but she couldn't hear it anymore. Emily Hayes was gone. All that remained was Ryan's creation, a hollow shell wrapped in the illusion of love, forever his.